What's up, everyone? This is Ignatius. Today I'm bringing to you a video that is really my first official .4 league planning video. And as an introduction, I want to say that this build I'm going to show you is not one that I plan to league start in 0.4, but it was one that I created and innovated on in 0.3 at the end. And so a lot of people were very interested in this build at the end of last league and have been asking whether it's viable for this league. And I'm here to say that it is very, very viable. And I expect that with new nodes coming to the tree near the side where we are closer to, it's going to probably be even stronger. So at the end of 0.3, I iterated on Spearfield. I created a sort of build guide that focused on Amazon, but it worked on a lot of other classes as well. Ritualist, Blood Mage, Gemling, Titan, even Deadeye. Basically, you used Whirling Slash and Spearfield, and that was about it. You deleted the whole screen quite easily, and bosses died pretty much instantly when they spawned. Now, we had two major changes that we know about so far that interrupted how this build was working. And the first and probably most significant one is the huge Falcon Dive nerf. So we used to use Falcon Dive to scale attack speed to the moon, and it worked alongside accuracy with Amazon's accuracy stacking for crit, and it was kind of like the perfect harmony. Well, Falcon Dive is getting not only nerfed in its bonus magnitude, but it also is capped, which in my opinion, GGG is just kind of killing it. I mean, you can still take it as a 20% attack speed node, but the test I'm going to show you is abandoning Falcon Dive entirely, so that way you can be certain that the build is still fast without it. The next huge nerf was Bloodletting. So this lineage support gem was extremely strong, and it pretty much provided all the damage we needed for the build. And it's also getting a magnitude nerf and a cap, which is GGG's way of saying find something else to play with, everyone, because it was previously uncapped. It had a lower cost per magnitude, and it had a cost multiplier built in so that it provided more inherent damage, and they're even removing the cost multiplier. So I'm just going to pretend this doesn't exist too, though this could come back when we actually get into 0.4 and we're looking for a source of 40% more damage, which is what it would provide. All right, so those are the two big nerfs, and even though these don't directly destroy what we're doing with Spearfield and Herald of Ice and Whirlwind Lance, they do make it so that it's really hard to solve for speed and damage with the limited resources on the tree and items. So I want to say that I tested a lot of solutions for solving these problems. One of my goals as I go season to season, I don't just want to pretend that my old builds keep working and not give them any love and attention. I also don't have the bandwidth to give that love and attention to all of my builds. So I'm really only doing this in .4 for this build. I had two other builds in .3 that I sort of owned and updated and helped people with, and I'm going to sort of make one pass at making sure there's nothing game ending in those, and I don't see that. But on this one, I actually did a full revision. So the second best result I found in solving for these is converting your damage to poison based with bleed effects for magnitude. And that's actually not the solution I'm going to show you in this video, but I just want to mention that because if you are on the ranger side of the tree, you can roll Pathfinder or Amazon or even Titan and flop your damage over to poison and run Plague Finder. And then you can amplify the poison with automatically applied bleed from all of your other skills that you're using. You can run Withering Presence. You can activate bleed and admixture and Herald of Thunder. Just a lot of little interactions that I'm not going to cover entirely. But if you follow this gem linkage and tree on either Pathfinder or Amazon, you will be successful with this build. I will say the biggest limitations are that on Pathfinder, you're not as tanky because you don't have the evasion stacking on Amazon. And on both, you're not as potent against bosses. There's also a Titan-based version of this build, which was developed by I9314, who's a guru on our Discord server, and I'll post the POB for that down below. Okay, that is kind of the end of the big intro. here's the actual solution and new build I have to demonstrate to you. The best result I found in all of my testing was by rolling a Witchhunter. And the reason this ended up being for sure the best is Weapon Master. We get 100 passive skills becoming weapon set skill points. And we actually end up using about 80 of these to achieve what we used to have in the old build. And it is probably ultimately stronger than the old build because the gear and setup I'm showing you is on standard and I'm not optimized. I just kind of made a honest enough pass to be certain that it would be as strong, and it is. So if you scale further, it then probably gets stronger. Witchhunter provides a few more things. We have Zealous Inquisition, which explodes things based on life. Our monsters are supposed to be getting stronger, so this could be good. Decimating Strike is fine, removes 5 to 30 at the first hit. Don't really need it. Culling Strike, fine, don't really need it. I think when we get into 0.4 and we have a massive buff to sorcery ward, we take this line instead of this line. This becomes our base defensive layer, and we scale our defensive item pieces around this layer. For right now, because we don't have the 0.4 application of sorcery ward, which is a huge buff, I still just have these things going over here. But I do think I can just unspec these and it would look pretty much the same. Okay, so the big thing to note on this tree, I'm not going to go over everything, but just know that we are using tons of weapon set skill points. And here's the general idea. Weapon set 1 is speed and travel. That's where our Whirling Slash lives. And we are at about 8 attacks per second unbuffed. We're also going to use Combat Frenzy and Charge Regulation to get more skill speed. I believe that more tag's getting nerfed a little bit as well. But you can see even like out of combat, we're just in hideout. We're super fast. Mana's not an issue. Life is good. You can even throw on a shield. I was just testing this. You can even throw on a shield and it's really fast. Here's why that's important to note. We're running Dance with Death, so we get more skill speed if the offhand is empty. So if you want to be super fast, take a shield off. If you want to be tankier, solve for res or whatever, put a shield on. Okay, and then weapon set 2. So with weapon set 1, we're taking all attack speed nodes we can find, and some blind amplification, a few other little goodies just to debuff enemies while we're traveling around. And then weapon set 2 is all of our damage, all of our crit, and all of our hazard scaling nodes. And we're able to be so, careless about taking nodes on weapon set 2 because we have like 100 that we get to use freely, that we get to take things like Spring Hair, which is super strong. We get to take things like Culling Strike Threshold against rare and uniques. So yeah, we're just going everywhere we can to find extra damage and hazard buff nodes for the Spearfield. So generally the playstyle is Whirling Slash Spearfield, Whirling Splash Spearfield. And the AoE provided by Witchhunter, Herald of Ice, Herald of Ash is going to clear the screen no problem. And then on bosses, we just throw down tons of Spearfields as the boss is spawning. Boss spawns on this little hazardous area and they just go poof. So yeah, that's the gist of what is going on with the swap to Witchhunter in this build. Okay, so now for a little bit of a showcase so you can see how it works and whether this is really, the type of build you'd like to run. We'll find like a massive modded tier 15. I don't even know if there's any mods with this build that we're really scared of. Probably just like monsters doing lots of damage because I don't really have the defensive layer established for this build the way it should be in the actual league. But yeah, we'll go to Deserted, which is nice. Open it up. All right, so the first step in mapping with this is the Whirlwind Lance, so we're going to chuck that down. Sometimes it doesn't absorb right away, so just chuck it down later. And then again, we're just going to zoom and hit F for Spearfield and enjoy easy map clear. We do have a Frenzy Charge, so I'll try the Lance again. There we go. There's our big Lance. It looks like I don't have Frost Nexus in. And I've been testing a few different things here and there. But yeah, it looks like Frost Nexus is not currently in. Need to put that in because there's random ground effects that will, come up in the map that you'll absorb temporarily, but the Frost Nexus is the like permanent ground effect. There's that flame. That's pretty cool. And you can see our AoE is getting pretty big from the Whirlwind Lances with the Combat Frenzy. In terms of damage, like, definitely worth noting that I don't even have any like basic jewels, and I think we have like 4 or 5 basic jewel slots available because we're pathing on the tree so far. Also worth noting that this spear is my Amazon spear, which is an accuracy based spear. So I do think, and again, I just couldn't find one in standard. Like, the prices for an appropriate spear for this variant, they were like 500 divs. It was not a 500 div spear. And I'm honestly working on another build for the league, so I didn't go out and just like craft my own. But yeah, that is to say that I think the easy damage you could hit with this build in endgame with the right spear and loading up your jewels appropriately is at least double this. Our tooltip I think is hitting around 150k in combat. Whew, look at that whirlwind. So yeah, you would be at least double that, I think, if you do things appropriately. Okay, next little showcase is going to be the classic go delete Xesht thing. Twisted Domain, you don't really need to go as fast, so you could throw on a shield. You could even like double weapon set your Sacred Flame, so that way your Whirlwind has the Sacred Flame damage bonus. But it's pretty much all the same. And probably what I'll do is I'll edit out clearing this whole domain and just go straight to Xesht for you. Okay, hopefully those little showcases gave you, decent confidence that when we remove Falcon Dive and Bloodletting entirely, and we switch to Witchhunter, the build is still insane. I'll say again, with the gear I'm using, I do think that that showcases about 50% strength and like maybe 10% of the defensive layer that you will have with Witchhunter with the change to Sorcery Ward in 0.4. So yeah, it could be a Giga build for like super high end game that is nearly immortal as well. Last section of the video, I just want to talk about some of the key moments in the gear. I'm not going to go over all the gear because I think it will change a lot. We even have like new spear bases and lots of changes to the spear base, math and things like that. But I just want to really quickly mention a few things for those of you who may actually jump into maps and switch over to this build and that kind of thing. All right, so number one, ideally you have a different spear in weapon set 1 and weapon set 2. I've just got my Amazon spear from swapping this over in standard. This is not ideal. Don't take it as a reference. Weapon set 1 spear, all you care about is speed. So you can get up over 2 attacks per second. You can go with a double or even a triple socket. And I know we can't, reuse certain runes and soul cores. I'm not sure the limits there, but basically you just want to maximize the attacks per second in weapon set 1. And then weapon set 2, you want something that looks a little bit more like this without all the accuracy stuff, which was for Amazon. On Amazon with the accuracy stuff, we're at like 300% more damage than what you just saw because all that accuracy gets converted into flat fizz. But what you do want is decent attack speed, attacks per second. You can kind of feel that out. That's like really up to you, like how fast you want it to swap and drop this Spearfield. But it does feel slower when you slow it down. But yeah, you want decent attack speed, and then the crit chance and level of skills are mandatory, and you want as high of each as possible. It can be attack or melee skills. I'm not sure how those roll on spears. I'm not a crafting expert. And then, yeah, as much flat damage as possible, and it can be any damage type. Okay, now on the rings and amulet, it's pretty straightforward. Amulet is your classic spirit, defense, crit, melee amulet. I have a video and a Mobalytics guide talking about how to craft this. It's very easy to craft. The rings are not ideal for what you would do in 0.4 because you no longer care about accuracy, and my flat rolls are not that great. This one's a tier 3, tier 4 flat roll. So once again, the demo I just showed you is not optimized by any means. You would go triple flats and resists, rarity if you want it, on each ring. Now, boots, armor, and helmet, these three, I think you want to be flexible and you want to keep in mind Sorcery Ward, which cares about armor and evasion. And I don't really know if there's like breakpoints or, how it's going to work. But, in 0.3, I did a lot of ES stacking because I was on Amazon, and so I could capitalize on the evasion from these two spots, run full ES here, full ES on gloves. You just kind of want to hybridize whatever stat makes the most sense for the defensive layer approach you're taking. You don't need movement speed on boots, which is really good to know. And then, of course, if you're doing an evasion-based build, you want the deflection as evasion where you can find it. Headhunter not required. Of course, it's great. You could go with the belt that buffs the rings or just a rare belt that has good stats, maybe armor, evasion, who knows. And then the gloves, the big change on the gloves is that we won't have the triple socket attack speed. I believe the serious rune is one that's going to be limit 1. So you'll want to be more flexible and sort of pay attention there. Charms, just make sure you have the Forsaken Bangle. It's really, really good. And I think that's all I want to say about skills. I'll kind of wrap this up. Once again, the build is strong. I do think the Witchhunter version of the build in 0.4 is going to have a higher ceiling than what I had going in 0.3. Also, if you are on a ranger someday, weeks in the future, huntress or actual ranger, and you want to swap over to this build, I did test Pathfinder and Amazon with poison-based variants, and they were very strong, so I have that guide here. And then as far as league starting, basically you're going to be rolling a mercenary, and I will link at the very top of this MOBA guide some of the mercenary crossbow-based league starts that I would do if I were league starting this. My next video will be covering my actual league start, so stay tuned. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the YouTube. I do plan to, be attentive to questions and comments on this build throughout the season, more so than any of the others. So come on over here to the Discord and Spearfield Whirly. If you have any questions, I can answer them. And we also have 9314 and several other PoE gurus who are attentive in these discussions. We're grateful for their wisdom, and they'll get you on the right track. Thank you.